I get it, so many patio sets look gorgeous in the photos, but when they arrive they either feel flimsy, don't fit the space, or just sit there unused because the comfort never lives up to the hype. I've spent a few weekends testing a handful of outdoor sofas, and I kept catching myself thinking, if only I could see how this really works in a real backyard before I click buy. That's why I'm pulling apart the Purple Leaf Modern Patio Furniture Set today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the set comes as a 4-piece arrangement, a 3-seat sofa, a left-arm daybed, a coffee table with an aluminum top, and a matching ottoman that doubles as extra seating. The layout is meant to create a lounge-like vibe without the need for a full-size sectional, which is appealing if you have a mid-size patio or a balcony that can't accommodate a massive footprint. The daybed's left-arm design is a bit of a curveball. Most outdoor daybeds have a straight back, but this one tucks the arm under the seating surface, letting you stretch out longer without the arm getting in the way. In practice, that means you can actually lie flat for a quick nap after a summer barbecue, something I've tested by setting up a portable fan and a blanket for a sundowner session. It worked surprisingly well. The seat depth is generous enough that I didn't feel like I was perched on a thin couch. The biggest selling point is the ergonomic comfort claim. The cushions are made from a quick-dry foam that retains shape after a few hours of sun exposure, and the fabric has a water-resistant weave. When I first sat down, the cushions felt supportive without being too firm like a well-balanced office chair. After a day of occasional rain, the cushions didn't get soggy, and they dried off in an hour just by being left in the open air. That's a practical win because you don't have to rush to cover everything when a shower pops up. Now, let's talk about the premium structure. The frame is built from a powder-coated steel skeleton, and the arms of the sofa and daybed are wrapped in a synthetic wicker that mimics the look of rattan but is far more resistant to UV fade. In real-world use, the frame feels solid when you lean against it, and there's no wobble after the assembly bolts are tightened. I did notice that the screws require a decent torque wrench for the final tightening. If you're not comfortable with basic tools, you might need a quick call to a friend or a handyman. The assembly itself takes about an hour with clear instructions, nothing overly complex, but you'll need a clear floor space because the pieces are a bit bulky. The aluminum tabletop on the coffee table is another practical detail. It's not just a decorative surface. The metal conducts heat away from hot plates or glassware, so you can set a pitcher of iced tea on it without worrying about condensation ruining the table's finish. The tabletop also resists scratches from coasters or plates, which is a nice touch for anyone who likes to entertain frequently. When I placed a couple of mugs and a small plant on it, there were no marks after a week, and the finish stayed glossy. However, the set isn't without trade-offs. The biggest hidden drawback is the weight. Each component, especially the sofa frame and daybed, tips the scale at around 4,000 to 45 pounds. If you live in an apartment building with narrow stairwells or need to move the set for seasonal storage, you'll likely need a second set of hands. The aluminum table, while lightweight compared to solid wood, still adds another 1,012 pounds. I found that the set is best suited for homeowners who can leave it in place year-round or have a dedicated storage shed. If you're a renter who needs to roll things out of the way every few months, the weight could become a hassle. Another practical concern is the level of weather resistance. The cushions are quick-dry, and the frame is powder-coated, but the fabric isn't a foolproof solution against heavy downpours or prolonged exposure to salt-air environments near the coast. In my experience, after a day of light rain, the cushions stayed relatively dry, but after a heavier storm the underside of the fabric got damp. I ended up using a simple outdoor blanket to protect the cushions overnight, which is an extra step most people don't think about when they first see the set online. Who should consider buying this set? If you have a patio that can accommodate a 3-seat sofa and a daybed, love the idea of a lounge area where you can both sit upright and stretch out, and you enjoy a modern aesthetic with clean lines, this is a solid pick. The set works well for small families, couples who like to host occasional gatherings, or anyone who wants a designated spot for reading or sipping coffee outdoors. The daybed's extended length is also a bonus for pet owners who want a place for a dog to lounge.